This is a Looney Studios podcast. Hello and welcome to Aerde Talks. I'm Hunter Looney, the Game Master, and this show is here to dive deeper into the world of Aerde, which is traversed in Aerde Tales. Today we will be discussing the genus of Equinnoids, which includes Centaurs, Fauns, Manticores, Minotaurs, Sphinx, and Tikbalangs. But first I wanted to talk about this latest episode. I don't know if it came across in the recording how actual, scared for their characters both Leah and Noah were as they were going through here. I was trying to play Mushak as afraid as they were acting in real life. They were very worried about the remnants biting them, turning them, doing whatever. They were so worried and approached each room with the same concern and everything throughout this first level of this mansion. And so I don't know if it came across, but they were pretty concerned for their characters. And yes, Mushak is a powerful and smart and cunning and individual that is a trained assassin. But assassinating or stealing from people is different than encountering these quasi people, or people that used to be people but are now remnants of what they were and only thirst for blood and stuff and could possibly get you sick. So I was trying to play her as true to what I thought was she would be very worried and concerned and a little bit scared, because also when planning out a theft or an assassination, you try to get as much information as you can so there's not that many surprises. Well, as this whole mansion was set to be a surprise, they didn't have any intel and whatnot. So that was some of the decisions I brought to how I played Mushak this particular episode. So let's dive into the different equinoids that populate the world of Aerde. And this is not necessarily, none of these sentient species lists are exhaustive lists. These are ones that the individuals on the island, continent, or whatever you want to call it, where they currently are residing, know about. So there may be some discovered in the future that are included in these, or are just not very well known. So the first one we're going to get into is Centaurs. They are individuals that give live birth. They have the bottom half, mostly the most known ones have the bottom half of a horse and the top half of human-ish people. Their average height is 6'10". Average lifespan about 60 years old. They're herbivores. Their colorations of both their top half and their bottom half vary significantly, where they could have the bottom half of normal like horses or zebras or whatever it may be, or some other colorations. But as with all the sentient species so far, they can speak, they can make their own decisions, they're sentient. Next grouping are Fauns. These are the individuals that have the bottom half of like a goat or some species like that. They're two-legged on the bottom of them. So an example of one of these species in popular media and stuff like that would be in the animated movie Hercules. The person that was the person training Hercules, he would be a faun in this universe. And so they have their average height is about 3'2", average lifespan is around 80 years old. And they're also herbivores as well. And so the next species we're going to talk about, the next sentient species we're going to talk about, are manticores. And some of the different media out there and stuff like that, you sometimes have these as not sentient, or they're just all the time evil and whatnot. But manticores are, it's a human ish face, a body that's like a big lion, and then a tail of a scorpion, and then it also has bat-like or dragon-like wings on its back as well. And so these individuals can speak and everything like that. They give live birth. Their average height is 9 feet, and their average lifespan is about 80 years old. And these individuals are both carnivores, and they do osteophagy too, where they can eat the bones as well. So they can get pretty big and stuff. So the next grouping we're going to talk about are minotaurs. And I know from historical media and stuff like that, where a minotaur are specifically, they were called that because they were targeting a specific person, so that's was they were called that and everything like that. But generally, as of today, like, people think of minotaurs as like cow people that can stand upright, and like bulls or cows and stuff. So they have the face about like a cow or bull. They have horns. They have hoofs on their bottom legs, and then they have the upper body like hands and whatnot of a human-ish species. In this world, their average height is 7'6", and their average lifespan is about 52 years old. And they are herbivores, and they generally are pretty big individuals, and pretty muscular and whatnot. So our next grouping is sphinxes, which are individuals that have, once again, like the body of a lion, and the face-ish of a human, about, like, it's about human looking. And then their wings are more feathered on this individuals than they are in the manticores, so they're like feathered wings, and they're huge. And then they have just a normal, like, lion tail. It's not a scorpion tail or anything like that. And their average height is also about 9 feet. And they're carnivores and do osteophagy, but some have been known to also be omnivores as well. So I guess technically they're omnivores then. So their average lifespan is about 75 years old. And then the last group of sentient species we're going to talk about today are Tikbalangs, which these are, if you've ever heard of BoJack Horseman, these are like these individuals. They stand up on 2 legs. They are humanoid-like size and dimensions and whatnot, but instead of a human-ish face, they have a horse face. And so they are sentient. They can talk. Everything. Their average height is 6'3", and average lifespan is 55, and they're herbivores mainly. So these are pretty much horses that stand up on 2 legs and then have normal-ish, human-ish hands, and can walk around and such. So that brings us to the end of this episode of Aerde Talks. On the next episode of Aerde Talks, we'll discuss the game mechanics of the Roxville Spring Games, which our adventurers are going to be participating in. So let's take care of some housekeeping. Our adventurers encounter magical items, and I want to invite everyone to visit the patreon.com/Looney Studios page. The link's in the description. On that front page, there's a link to a Google form where anybody can submit an idea for a magical item. Anyone can do this. You don't have to be a patron. You can do it anonymously, or you can put your name or username on it to receive credit if we use it. Please add to this list. It's one of Noah and our favorite in-game activities is getting those new magical items. And while you're there, you can also check out Looney Studios' Patreon. And if you become a patron, you gain access to the podcast early, among other perks. Speaking of Patreon, I'd like to thank our patrons. Thank you for supporting Looney Studios and Aerde Tales. Your support helps us so much, and thank you for being there. And Looney Studios can be found at looneystudios.com and at the social media platforms listed in the description. Please give a review on your favorite podcasting site, like, comment, and subscribe on YouTube, and submit magical items on our Patreon. The Looney family hopes that you have a wonderful day. That was a Looney Studios podcast.